My name's Dave Roberts and I run an angling guiding business on the River Wye here called Angling Escapades. This river has been part of my life for 44 years. At the age of 4 years old I came down to the river with my father, who was a big salmon fisherman, and used to follow behind him with my little rod, and I became obsessed with this river and fishing in general from that moment onwards. Taking away that sort of, being that sort of safe zone for people, so people can come and just try without having to buy lots of equipment, became quite a popular sort of business model. And so we started our business, and from the word go it was successful, and we had a lot of interest. I'm just going to stop there. Hiya. Lots of good things going on the river. The citizen science, this is volunteers, people who care about the river, monitoring things, but they're only monitoring the current state, and the current state is pretty good. In my opinion, and what I see daily. And I think it's a case of, it's not necessarily a case of saving the Wye, and there's lots of people out there telling you that this river is dead or destroyed or dying. For me, it's about protecting what we've got, because what we've got is brilliant, and what we're seeing is regeneration of the ranunculus. I'm seeing more and more year on year. That's coming back, and that's a massive part to the ecology of this river. At the moment, we're not seeing it. We're only seeing an increase in fish stocks, of course, fish. Salmon is another story. Salmon disappeared from this river fast overnight in the late 80s, and no one's ever really pinpointed what the problem was there. But salmon are declining across the whole of the world, Atlantic salmon. The graph on the Wye is declining just the same as all the other graphs. The problem is we were from a sort of slightly lower starting point because of what happened in the late 80s. So there's lots of threats, and there's lots of things that we need to protect this river from, but anybody who says this river is dead or destroyed is talking rubbish. We often had years where we didn't have as much ranunculus weed, and it was often governed by what sort of winter we had. If we had a very dry, cold winter, the sunlight could get to the riverbed, and the following summer we'd have good weed growth. So it wasn't a completely new thing, but then when it didn't come back a year later, it suddenly started to think that this might not be appearing. But about the same time we heard lots of talk about poultry farming, and that it had this detrimental effect on the river, and actually that was the cause of this ranunculus to disappear. I never believed that for 1 minute. I just saw it was too sudden disappearance. So from that moment onwards, I always questioned the rhetoric behind the whole Save the Wye campaign. Not dismissing that their agriculture has an effect on a river system like this, and not denying that I'm sure that the millions of chickens that are reared in the Wye Valley do leave a footprint. But what I started to question was the state of the river as it is now. We're catching record numbers of coarse fish. Match catches of over 200 pounds of fish in 5 hours. It's just, we're seeing an explosion of life in the river. And it all seems to be getting swept under the carpet because there is an obsession with corporate poultry money. The American companies that own the poultry industry in the Wye Valley, and there's lots of campaigns targeted towards that. Lots of not-for-profit organisations suddenly have appeared that I've never heard of all around the Wye campaign. Not-for-profit organisations, but they've got CEOs on tens of thousands of pounds, and a salary bill each year of £750,000. People making money out of this river about campaigning against the destruction of it. It all seems a little bit doom and gloom, and people making money from doom and gloom.